You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk, or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
Do you need a car? Been shopping only to be turned down because of bad credit, low credit, no credit, bankruptcy, or divorce? Guess what? Today's your lucky day, because now you can buy a car, truck, or SUV, just about any vehicle. It's true. Bad credit doesn't matter. No credit doesn't matter. Bankruptcy or divorce, it just doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, your job is your ticket to your new vehicle. We're Auto Credit Express, and we've helped thousands of people just like you. Antonio H. told us, great company, got me connected, and the day I went in, I drove off in the car I wanted. 100% worth your time. Need a car? Get started now and drive off as early as today. Just text FINANCE, FINANCE, to 357-911 right now to get started. That's FINANCE, FINANCE, to 357-911. Auto financing the easy way. Text FINANCE to 357-911.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Everyone loves liberty. Our rights come from God, not the government. So why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your health care? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their health care. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your health care, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your health care while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
It's the Loftus Party. I love it. Got a Green Day vibe. It's growing up. Heading into 2019. We're a couple weeks into it. The Gypsy is AWOL. The Gypsy has taken a leave of absence for this week. I think she had to move her campground. She had to find a new crystal ball. Who do we have sitting in? We got Kung Fu Rick. Kung Fu Rick from somewhere in the Middle Western states. Lots to talk about today. Lots to talk. Welcome aboard, Rick. How's it going, man?
It's going great. I'm coming to you right in the middle of flyover country, or as everybody else calls it, where the hell are you? Because nobody cares. Because seems like the left only cares about the coast. So I'm just out here in the middle.
Did you see that email that was going around? A buddy of mine forwarded it to me. It's called 319 Square Miles.
I have not, but feel free to tell me about it.
Well, it has to do with flyover states and the Electoral College and how many counties Trump won and how many counties Hillary won. And he crushed her. If you just list the counties, he crushed her, absolutely crushed her. Now, when they talk about the popular vote, that's New York and Los Angeles, those counties. And it equals out to be like she won 319 square miles and Trump won the rest of it. Like, it is real. She did not do well at all. And these people, there's someone now, I think, I forget which congressman it was, is talking about he wants to, somebody's like, they want to abolish the Electoral College system. The more you find out about the Electoral College system, the more you will dig it. We don't want 319 square miles of real estate dictating what the rest of this country does. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you want to talk about feeling like you live under a monarchy. Imagine, 319 square miles of real estate, the people that live in there getting to make the decisions for the other hundreds of thousands of miles of people that live within this country.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Especially when you drive around Los Angeles and when you drive around Manhattan, it's not like that. It's not like it's Shangri-La and everything's working perfectly. It's not like it's not like we're in the Wizard of Oz and suddenly you go to Los Angeles like, ooh, it's the Emerald City and it's magical and it's wonderful. It's like, no, I don't want to step on that needle. That I think that poop might be human poop. That's a lot of garbage. That dude looks. It's a far cry from the Emerald City in the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, no, I mean it's terrible. I mean, I haven't been out there in years. We used to travel around a lot when I was a kid because I lived in Seattle. My dad lived here, so we would move around a lot. And there for a little bit, we would take trips to places like San Diego, Los Angeles, just because we were kind of in that area. But I mean, from hearing everything about it now, I'm just like, I don't even have any desire to want to go there. I mean, why would you want to go anywhere where you're dodging human landmines on a daily basis, if you know what I mean?
I mean, some areas are worse than others, and it kind of ebbs and flows. I don't want to talk about where I live, what neighborhood I live, but it's a good one. It's not a great one, but it's a good one. And you can see a few years back, crime started to come up, and then it went away, and now it's kind of ebbing back. There's definitely been an increase in homeless and all of that stuff, needles. It ain't good. it ain't good. And then even when I was in New York, I was out on Long Island, and all my neighbors were retired cops and retired firefighters. It was insanely safe. But you go into the city, and New York is not getting any better either. Manhattan, they got some big issues there. So it's weird. You have an idea for like what you want to talk about in the podcast, and then the reality becomes this whole different thing. But I would invite everybody, like if you're thinking about like, well, maybe these Democratic policies, they aren't all bad and there's some good, just go see the cities they're running. That to me, that was one of the things that would always like have me double down on my belief system. When you look at New York, you look at San Francisco, you look at Detroit, you look at these Los Angeles, these big liberal the Democrats have run these cities. They run them. And you look at the end result, and it's never good. It's never good. Where is the liberal Shangri-La? They should have at least one. You'd think they'd have one town by now where they could just go, see, we're doing it right. Don't you want to live here? They never want to live in these places. They never do. It's hilarious.
And the dumbest thing about that, because you're right, none of them, at some point, they're all like, nah, it's too expensive to live here now. Let's move to Texas. And then they're like, well, Texas doesn't have sidewalks, and Texas doesn't have bike lanes, and Texas doesn't have this, and Texas doesn't have that. So we should pass all these laws to make Texas have the things that we had there. And so I'm like, you're moving from a state that you hated to go to a state because it was cheaper to live here. Now you want to put a tax burden on yourself to make it more like the state that you just left. What about that makes sense?
I tell you, it's, the Gypsy and I did a show about this a few months ago, and it'd be, if it wasn't reality, it'd be hilarious. But you have people, they vote Democrat, and they turn their city and they turn their state into a bad place to live. An unaffordable, bad place to live where the bad outweighs the good, and they go, man, I got to go somewhere. So they go somewhere that has really conservative policies, that is very business friendly. They go there, and then they continue to vote Democrat, and they turn it exactly into what they just left. I can't believe it. It'd be funny to watch if it wasn't reality.
The scariest thing is we're actually starting to see that happen here. There have been some gentrification projects going on in the Oklahoma City metro area now for the last 25, 26 years. And the Oklahoma City the congressional district that houses Oklahoma City just flipped blue for the first time in 50 years.
It's not a fair playing field, and this is actually a great segue, because it's not a fair playing field. People are not making an honest assessment of their political beliefs. They're not. It's slowly being eroded away. There is a beachhead of conservatives, of Republicans, libertarians. We'll call it the right. However, there's a constant crashing of the wave of, the big media, entertainment, everything that is constantly eroding that beach. And then also, illegal immigration is part of that as well. And it's just constantly eating away that beach. Gypsy had some stats a couple weeks ago about how many college kids are conservatives now, and she says the numbers aren't bad, that the numbers are actually encouraging. So I want to wrap myself up in that. How I just don't see how it can last, though. It's one of those things where you can tell me that on paper, but it just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel factually correct to me. I don't. Every time I look at TV, every time I look at entertainment, I feel like it is an attack. When they turned Star Wars into a political thing, that was a really, really, really bad sign. When you have Disney that is Star Wars, that is Marvel, and I guess we'll do a little bit of entertainment here because that's what I kind of want to get into right out of the gate. I guess Marvel and Disney, they've been screening the new movie Captain Marvel again and again and again, which is a very, very, very concerning sign, because they've got this new female hero. You know, she's been in the comic books. It's not like they invented her for some kind of social justice warrior thing. Captain Marvel's been part of the Marvel universe for a long time. However, I think they might have gone too far, and they might know they've gone too far, so they want to see how much they can dial it back without audiences noticing. It's very, when every time you turn around, it's political and your belief system is being mocked, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's not a good sign. When, like, they say that, oh, conservatives aren't funny and conservatives aren't entertaining, and I know tons of people, who quietly work in the entertainment business, but they never bring politics to work. They never bring politics to work, because as soon as you do, then it's lights out. It's game over. They don't want entertainment for conservatives. They don't want it. They don't want it. They don't want it. If they did, they know there's a bunch of money lying around on the table. If you just look at the ratings for Roseanne and Last Man Standing and all that stuff, you would think. And if you look at the ratings for Fox News, look at the ratings for the flippin' Hallmark Channel, because the Hallmark Channel is like, there are no politics. That's just wholesome entertainment. Boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy, that whole thing. If they were really interested in the money, they would be making so much programming to appeal to the right, it would be mind-boggling. They don't, because it's not about the money, it's about steering the culture. And that is what has me very concerned, and also leads me into my next topic of discussion, the Deplorable show, the Deplorable tour. I am going to be relentless. I want to apologize to everybody right now. I'm going to be relentless. You're going to see it all the time on the Twitter. You're going to see it all the time on Facebook. You're going to see it everywhere. I'm making a big, big push, and I hope you guys will help me out. There are 5 of us. There's myself. There's a very funny comedian named Steve McGrew. There's a very insanely talented comedian, guitarist, Brian Hayner, one of the big session guys in LA, phenomenal guitar player, phenomenal musician. There is the Deplorable Choir, these girls from Texas, and they are just huge, outspoken Trump fans, and they've made these songs, and they've recorded them in their homes, and they have a huge following. And there's also this kid, Terrence Williams, who's incredibly funny. It's awesome to watch. He's really young. He's really energetic. He's got just such a natural comedic gift, and people they've really responded to him. It's very humbling. It's very humbling. I've been in the stand-up game for a long time, and it's wild. I'll tweet out something to my few thousand friends on Twitter, and I get a pretty decent response. Terrence the other day tweeted out this. It's not annoying, but it's just a constant. It's a constant humbling factor. Terrence tweeted this thing out. Granted, he has like hundreds of thousands of people on Twitter. He's got a huge Instagram following, Facebook, YouTube. My phone is constantly going off. I have my phone on silent. I've since had to turn it on don't even vibrate. Just don't do anything, because his tweet about the Deplorable show is just, it's still going. It was a couple days ago. It's still going. Like tens of thousands of retweets, which is very it makes me feel good. That people are responding in such a positive way. It makes me feel bad that no one cares about what I do. But I'm glad people are responding. This thing, Rick, it's been an eye opener. I've told this. I've said this on the air before with Gypsy, and I'm sure you've heard. And heck, the last time you were co-hosting with me, I think we were kind of talking about this kind of thing. The more I go down this weird rabbit hole of comedy and politics and comedy and entertainment, the more I'm discovering I don't want to turn into like a tinfoil hat person. But I will say this again. Politics is downstream from pop culture. It's just like Andrew Breitbart said, and I'm really, really happy that these other people we've all joined forces, and yes, we're calling it the Deplorable Tour. And I know sometimes I think it bugs Gypsy, because she's one of these. She's a real political, policy wonk and all that stuff, and she kind of likes to stand back. She didn't vote for Trump, and she stands back, and she's kind of, she's smart, so she sees what people do. And I have become more and more unabashedly pro-Trump, and the more I see the narrative of the media, the narrative of the news, I know what they're doing. I've been in these meetings when I've been on sitcoms, and I know how they test things, and I know how they poll things, and I know what they're doing. I've been a part of it. I've been part of publicity campaigns, and this is exactly the entire media. The more I find out, it really looks like they are just a giant PR firm for the Democrats, for the liberals. And I don't think that there's a big table where they all sit around and talk about how they're going to rule the world. They all have a common belief system. There's a certain kind of, kid that grows up and people make fun of him in high school, and then he goes on to work in the entertainment business and he does X, Y, and Z. I just think entertainment, Hollywood, journalism attracts people from the left. And then when you look around, like, oh my gosh, we're all on the left. We're all very smart. I'm a good person. You're a good person. It happens. You can't stop it from happening. It's a bunch of like-minded individuals who are all telling each other, yes, we're right. We're right. We're going to save the country from this scourge of Donald Trump. So I was kind of hesitant to go, I'm deplorable, and I very rarely put like MAGA on tweets, but it's like I'm going to start doing that. I think that the best way to, I don't want to say fight back, but it's like this is not how any of this is supposed to work. No one political party is supposed to be just demonized and told they're evil. I have a different set of beliefs than these other people. I have a different way of solving problems, a different way of looking at the problems. I just don't think government has the solution, and that I don't want to be branded evil for that. So he's a Trump supporter and make America great again, and he's on this deplorable tour with these guys and that and that. Yes, I am. And I'm going to stand up and be counted, and let's get a conversation going. It has to become, and I'm way on a soapbox here. I'm very surprised with myself. I really, really hope people support this tour. I really hope they buy tickets and they come out. First of all, you're going to have an amazing time. But the other wonderful thing that you're going to find out is that you are not alone. Here's what they're doing. I'm getting all Rush Limbaugh here now. Here's what they're doing. They're going to pick us off one by one. They are flooding the zone with it's negative. Oh, Trump does this and Russia did that, and studies show and polls show that then Trump supporters are this and Trump supporters are racist, and you're a racist and you're a xenophobe and you're an Islamophobe. So you're going to be embarrassed if you weren't already, like I am. They're going to make it so socially awkward for you to remotely disagree. And you can see it happen. It's like climate change. If you're at a party with your friends and politics show up, and you're that weirdo that doesn't just go after Trump and go, oh my goodness, he's the worst. If you kind of hesitate and go, well, it's instantaneous. You're a Trump supporter, and Trump supporter equals racist, and racist equals hate speech, and hate speech is bad, and you are a horrible human being. We've got to stand up against this. Normal people have to stand up, and I don't want to do some big. It's like some big noble. It is kind of big and noble, this deplorable tour. However, the side effects are all just wonderful. You're gonna have a great time. It's a very funny show. We did test runs in Houston. We did a test run in Dallas. The show's just gonna get bigger. The show's just gonna get better, and I just want everyone to come out and support it. Make the drive, buy the tickets, meet your fellow conservatives, meet your fellow weirdos. You are not alone, America. You are not alone. Yeah, I'm looking to you now, Rick.
Yeah, no, I was actually about to say something, but you go back to the whole Hollywood, and the media and everybody feeding in from the same stream, so to speak. It's because it's become an echo chamber. A prime example is I used to do a show called Finding Common Ground that started with one host, and eventually it went on to co-host with an even younger person that at the time I didn't realize exactly how young he was. Turns out he was a junior in high school. But when we first started doing the show together, all I heard day in and day out was my beliefs were antiquated, that conservatives were going the way of the dinosaur, because he had grown up under the Obama era, and as far as he knew, there was never going to be anything else. But the funny thing is, when I figured out how young he was, I found out that by him doing the show with me, it could actually count as high school credit. So one of the things, when I found out that we could do that, I contacted the teacher who was basically his advisor for that, and I said, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to turn it into a school project. We had done the show together for about 2.5 years when he was about to graduate high school. So for his senior thesis, for the work that we had done together, I made him listen to his first show, listen to the last show, and then write a paper about how his opinions had changed over the life of the show. And because he wasn't just exposed to the same one-sided belief system anymore, I actually got an email that he hated me because he was more conservative now.
It is, and you know what? And you have to wonder. That's an awesome story. That's an awesome story, and you have to wonder if the left feels the same way about us. Because I really feel, I really do, in my bones. Because I was hanging out with Sally Kohn for a while. Sally Kohn and I we pitched a show to CNN. I don't know if I've ever told this story on the air. We pitched a show to CNN, and it wasn't angry enough for them. They were like, it needed more yelling at each other, and we didn't want to do that. But I really feel like I could sit down with Sally Kohn or someone like that, and I could really move her to the right. Because I believe like that facts and logic are on my side of the argument, my side of the discussion. I really feel like I could move her to the right. Maybe she feels like she could move me to the left. But I really wonder if the left they have to like really think that we're just evil morons who won't look at facts. They have to. They have to think that, like, it's wild. As much as I feel like the left is just in complete denial of facts and history and what's been tried and what has failed and what works, they have to feel the same way about us. They have to.
They do. They feel exactly the same way. I hear that all the time. I still have friends that lean to the left, and we talk all the time. They're like an example. The station that I fill in for sometimes has a morning show host who's more of a liberal. And he's been making the argument on his morning show ever since Trump started talking about the wall, how the wall won't work because it's a stupid idea and it can't work because other countries have tried it and it doesn't do what they thought it was going to do. And it's the same thing. They just think we're not looking at the facts, and they start throwing out, well, most of the people that are in this country that are here illegally, they're here illegally because they've overstayed their visas. That's not true. Less than half of the people that are in this country illegally are here because of their visa status, are considered illegal because of their visa status. That means, in theory, if more than half of the people that are here illegally came here through a border crossing, that putting a wall on a specific spot where the frickin' Border Patrol is asking for it would probably help them do their jobs. But because they want to paint it as if it's the East and West Berlin Wall and it's all evil, That's their argument. They're thinking of the Berlin Wall. We're thinking about a 250-mile stretch that the Border Patrol is asking for a wall at.
Yeah, and this is where I feel like, and maybe every generation feels this, but I feel like we're in uncharted territory with this yes wall, no wall thing. I was watching the Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace, and I really, you cannot, I don't even know how to want to jump into this. What does it hurt? What does it hurt? People go, well, it doesn't work. You know, the drug dealers have submarines. They have submarines. No, okay. So does the wall actively hurt? What does it hurt? Nothing. To the people who go, well, you know, most of these people overstay their visas. Okay, well then isn't there a department already in place? Don't we already have a department already in place to combat that? Then if you're worried about people overstaying their visas, you're mad at that department. Get mad at them. They're not doing their jobs. And, oh, you know, the drug dealers, they'll just use submarines. Yeah, because submarines are just lying around everywhere. Don't we already have a department for that? Don't we already have the Coast Guard and the Navy and all that stuff? That has nothing to do with the wall I'm talking about and the steel slats and the insanely small amount of money. What it comes down to me is, even if the wall can like slow down some of the drugs, just slow down some of it, some kid in Pennsylvania or New Jersey or Vermont or wherever might not be able to get his drugs. So he might be having a bad day, and he might decide, you know what? I'm going to go into rehab, because at least with rehab they can help me with the withdrawal symptoms. And then you've got a little glimmer of hope, a little bit of an opportunity where some, you know, young man or some young woman will be like, okay, mom, dad, I'm a drug addict. I got a problem. I'm going to go in for help, simply because they can't do drugs. And when you hear the stats about just that, I'm like, listen, I'm not even going to talk about like the human trafficking and about the, you know, the women who get raped making the border crossing and all of that. Let's leave all of that aside. If you just look at the deaths every week from people ODing on drugs. Okay, now it's not going to stop the submarines. It's not going to stop. You're right. It's not. However, it will slow down some of the other stuff. The Democrats have legitimately, in my opinion, just discounted all of those deaths. When Nancy Pelosi's like, I'll give him $1, that's the value she puts on human life. That is the value that the Democratic Party puts on human life. It's when they pretend to lose their mind about one kid or two kids, whatever, that, you know, their parents brought them in, they were trying to cross the border, they died of the flu or dehydration or whatever, and they're like, that's too many. That's too many. Okay, sure, that's too many. So if 2 is too many, wouldn't 300 a week just be mind-boggling? How does Nancy Pelosi, if she really cares that much, how does she crawl out of bed? She'd be just soaked in her own tears from crying so much. But they don't. They don't.
Well, to be fair,
that's just shocking to me.
To be fair, the plastic surgery's probably closed off her tear ducts. So, man.
What is going on with her tooth?
I don't know, but it's
It's like a nervous tick. Do you remember the Pink Panther movies? Did you ever watch those? The original ones with like Peter Sellers?
I used to love those when I was a kid.
And there was he had this boss. He had this boss at the police department who, whenever he would Clouseau, his face would start to twitch and his eye would start to blink. I think that's what Nancy Pelosi's tooth sucking was. Oh, and here's the other thing where I believe that we've crossed some kind of invisible barrier somewhere where people should know. When the president's like, I'm going to have 8 minutes and address what's going on with our country. You know, because there's a government shutdown and there's the wall and all this discussion. And he goes, I'm going to talk to the country for 8 minutes. And when ABC, CBS, and NBC all get together and go, we need to think about it. Let us think about it. That should terrify everyone. That should terrify everyone, that they even said they'd have to think about it. And then they all devoted, like they instantly like circled their wagons and go, okay, well, the president's about to lie to you. It's really, really disconcerting. Really, really disconcerting.
Yeah, but
now,
I mean, that's what's actually brought me around to being a Trump supporter, because I'm much like Gypsy. I didn't vote for him in the primary, and I didn't vote for him in the general. But the further this thing has gone on, and the more that I've seen him fight for everyday people and fight for what he told people he was going to do when he got elected, I got to tell you, unless something drastic really, really changes, I'm voting for him in 2020 come hell or high water.
I think what they're trying to do, one of the great side effects of what they're doing, is they're going to try to peel away the independent voters. The people like, I don't know, because they've effectively buried the good news. Do you know how many manufacturing jobs were added in the last quarter?
Wasn't it like 300,000? No, I think that was
400,000.
Yeah,
400,000.
Yeah, it was somewhere between 300 and 400,000. It was a lot.
So for the 8 years that Obama was in office, so because people, he started, there was a recession and it was the great meltdown and it was the worst, blah, blah. It was worse than the Great Depression. Okay, so we had 8 years. In 8 years, Obama lost almost 300,000. And he said those jobs are never coming back. They're never coming back. Trump and his conservative, right-leaning, less government, his solutions, his policies, in 2 years, he's had a gain of 400,000. That should be just stunning to everyone. That Barack Obama and his policies failed. Epic fail. And the media covered for him. The media, they're like, yep, those jobs are never coming back. It's tough all over, everybody. Isn't it? Don't people, hopefully there's some casual listeners to this who are independent, thinking people. That should be staggering. It should just stagger you that the economy's doing so well, that the jobs are back. Here's the bad thing, though. The bad news in all of this, because unemployment is low and, wages are coming up. Here's the bad thing. I think that Americans are naturally optimistic. We're naturally optimistic. And it's hard to go – you can get elected on the promise of, if you elect me, it will get better. I think people are into that. They respond to that message. So then they elected Trump, and it got better. And now that's like the expectation. I think average, Mr. and Mrs. America are like, yeah, it got better. Okay. And so now, because that's the expectation and the reality, like, okay, well, it got better. Now what? So
yeah, but that's the thing.
I don't think Trump is some kind of lock for 2020.
That's the thing, though, Michael. Most of the people that watch the mainstream media, they don't think the economy's doing any better. I talk to people every single day that are like, well, yeah, you can show me those numbers, but show me the proof that my life's better. I was like, how can your life not be better? I've been locked into the same pay rate for 3 years because of this crappy economy. I've gotten a tax break and I've gotten 2 raises in the last 2 years. How can your life not be better? I don't understand how everybody can be looking at all these things that nobody, and when I try to take them to numbers, I'm like, look, unemployment for the African American population is lower than it's ever been. The Hispanic unemployment rate, lower than it's ever been. Women's unemployment rate, lower than it's ever been. We haven't had an economy this good in the time that I've been alive until now. But nobody sees it because that's the thing. There's 95% negative coverage of Donald Trump 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in the media. So they don't see these numbers because the media, the everyday media is not talking about them. And when they do, it's a footnote. And it's like, oh, jobs reports out, numbers are up. But in other news, Trump is colluded with Russia, and we now have proof.
Yeah, Trump is we got Michael Cohen's going to testify. It's all of that. And I think that'll just peel away the independent voters. It's wild. I really thought, like, and maybe I am becoming just like a political pundit, hardcore political junkie guy, but they always say, oh, this presidential election is the most important one in history. And I really thought 2016 was. I really thought if Hillary got elected, that might have been the tipping point. However, now in 2020, this is like the mainstream media's their last gasp. They're like, we need to, and I think this is why they've been so relentless, that if they cannot stop Trump and his supporters, if they can't shut it down, they'll never get their power back. So they have to continue this illusion, this facade, this insanity, like, oh, CNN, we're just objective news. We're just objective news. And they're simply not. It's amazing. And it's also not only just the negative spin they put on Trump, but it's also the stories they don't tell you about, the lies of omission. Boy, they sure didn't want to talk about that cop who got the cop who immigrated to America and got shot on the job by an illegal immigrant. Boy, they sure didn't spend much time on that. And here's the other one that they're not spending any time on at all. The yellow vest protests in France. That is still going on, dude, and it is spreading. There's yellow vest stuff going on in England. It's going on in Belgium. It is if that was like a pro hippie, pro hey, let's share more of our money, they would be on it like flies on crap. But they act like it's not even happening. Are you following any of that? The yellow vest stuff?
Oh yeah, I mean I follow pretty much anytime it comes up in my newsfeed. I know it's still going on, and it's still going on like crazy. And I mean, France is basically on fire right now. Nobody's really talking about it.
The people have had it. They've had enough. The people have had enough in France and in England and with Brexit and everywhere. These and here's another thing, and I always feel like it's worth mentioning because Gypsy brought it up like 3 or 4 shows ago, and I never realized this, and I find it very, very, very interesting. None of these European leaders who are making these huge decisions for the futures of their country, they don't have kids.
Yep. None.
It's wild. It's wild. It's all just theory to them. It's all just theory. And then when you see, okay, Macron in France has this crazy theory, and the people said, okay, you're the leader, and he implements this theory, and then you see how it's not working. You see how it's not working, and how it's making the middle class and the lower class, it's making their lives worse. It's making everyone's lives worse, and the people don't like it. We just won't talk about that. We just won't talk about that. And you've got no skin in the game. If you don't have kids, you got no skin in the game, because it's all just theory.
Well, here's the scariest thing about these lies of omission, though. They're starting to happen here at home. It's not just things that are going on around the globe that they're not talking about anymore. As an example, CNN just got caught with their pants down again over the weekend. They had a reporter from KUSI News that wanted to submit a recent interview they had done to show that the border wall in that area was actually working. CNN didn't want the story because it didn't fit their narrative. So KUSI News put out a story that said, hey, we tried to show them proof that the border wall that's already been erected in our area actually works. They didn't want it. So then CNN says, well, that's not why we didn't want it. And then they tried to put out a story that the news director of the station said they weren't really sure why the story was rejected. And then KUSI News put out a tweet and said, no, we still stand by our story. You didn't want it because it didn't fit your narrative.
Yeah, it's very funny, and like here I am, I'm spreading gossip as well. So like you had Jim Acosta go down to the wall the other day. It was hilarious. He's like, here I am by the wall. There's no crisis here. There's no one here. There's no one. And then Trump had that hilarious tweet that just said, "Dear Diary," because it was just he proved that walls worked. So Acosta to try to save face, he went down to the Rio Grande or whatever, and he goes, here I am taping at the Rio Grande. It's a lovely day. There's no immigration crisis here, but there is shuffleboard. Now, someone responded to that tweet, and I don't know if they're a citizen journalist or just a person on Twitter. They might be lying. However, they might be telling the truth when they said, I know that park where Jim Acosta is standing. I know that park, And the reason he's not turning the camera the other way is because there are Border Patrol boats in the water, boats with big guns. And that's why he's not turning the camera. It got a boatload of retweets. And because I can't trust Jim Acosta anymore, because he obviously has an agenda, I'm going to say, you know what? I bet Joe Schmo's telling the truth. I bet Joe Schmo is telling the truth. I tell you, if I'm a legit journalist, and I'm like, I'm not gonna play by anybody's rules, but I'm gonna play by the old school journalism rules, I'd be so mad at Jim Acosta. I'd be so mad at that guy. He's ruining it. He's personally doing so much damage to the already tarnished name of journalism. It's unbelievable. You had to have seen the little run-in he had with Kellyanne Conway.
Yeah, you mean the one where she basically owned him and said nobody likes you because you're an a-hole? Yeah.
Yeah, after he said, well, I'm not the one with the alternative facts problem. Did you hear that part of it?
Yeah, I heard that part of it.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, and here's the thing that just like, really, and this is like, violence is not the answer. Violence is not the answer. Violence is not the answer. I want to punch Jim Acosta. When he's confronting Kellyanne Conway, she's out in the White House, and if you haven't seen it, you should look it up and check it out, because he says to her, and the whole press pool is there. The whole press pool is there. And Kellyanne Conway's answering questions, and Jim Acosta, they're talking about the president's address to the nation. Yeah, can you promise the president will be factual in his address? Do you promise he won't lie? Do you promise he won't lie? And she goes, yeah. Can you promise that you won't? Okay, so zing. She got him. And then Jim Acosta, well, I'm not the one with alternative facts. And then she goes to address that, because they've really run that dead horse into the ground. She starts to address that, and Acosta won't even listen to her. He's like a little douchey, snot-nosed kid in junior high. As she starts to address him, he never stops talking. Why you say he won't lie? Why you say he won't lie? Why you say he won't lie? Why you say it's like having a fight with an insane girlfriend? And she goes, where were you last night? Oh, last night I was at, why won't you tell me you were in last night? Why did you tell me? You should tell me where you left. And he's just talking and talking and talking, and has zero interest in her response to the question. And somehow he's trying to make it was one of the most annoying things. And then Kellyanne kind of, I think she lost her cool a little bit. But you know what? I totally forgive her when she's like, I'm going to tell you something. No one here likes you. And she's right. I think she's right, because just like, I'm sure there's people in that press pool are like, I know there are. There's journalists who are like, I'm just going to report on what was said and what's happening. I'm going to do who, what, when, where, why. And then you've got this super douchey mouthpiece, this Jim Acosta. I thought it was wonderful and lovely and brilliant. Lovely and wonderful and brilliant.
Yeah, I actually know people that used to do that. Well, they're retired journalists now, but they've actually talked to me before, and they're like, dude, if we did our job half the way Acosta does it now, we would have been run out of town. Yeah. It's crazy, and it's wild to watch. And before I get to this whole New York Times, the New York Times is just that's another one. New York Times and the Washington Post, it's unbelievable. The New York Times just ran that piece about the FBI launched an investigation into Trump after Comey was fired, blah 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 blah, which was like, you learned nothing new. And in my opinion, all that does is exonerate Trump. If the FBI launched an investigation as if Trump was some kind of covert operations guy from the Russian government, you don't think they would have like nabbed him and yanked him out of office? Do you think, like, if they would have found something, you don't think they would have said, hey guys, we got a real big problem here, we got to get this guy out of office? And people are all wadded up about that. I want to do a plug real quick before we go much farther for another project that I just started. Another happy, wonderful thing for the Loftus Party. So I'm starting the Deplorable tour
on the 23rd. There's going to be rehearsals and intros. It's going to be a spectacle. Then I started this other little side thing, and I just kind of it just as a fun little project. It's called Bullet Points. A buddy of mine, Judd Dunning, who I know from Southern California. He's a big surfer guy, real estate dude. He's a good dude. I would always see him at Politicon, and he's awesome. We're doing this thing together where it's like we take the top 6 stories, top 7 stories in the news. We go to his studio, and we just 2 minutes a topic, and it's fun, it's fast, and it's funny. And we just did our first episode last night. As of you listening to this, it will be up. It's on YouTube. It's called Bullet Points with Michael Loftus and Judd Dunning. I'm gonna put it on the website. I'm gonna subscribe to the channel, all that wonderful stuff. It's just a fun little side project. It's what I want to do with theloftusparty.com. There's a wonderful person who has embraced the postability of the loftusparty.com. A while back, I was complaining about the preambles to recipes. I was looking up a recipe for like Thanksgiving or Christmas, and the preambles were driving me crazy. There's a woman on Facebook, and now she's posting stuff to the Loftus Party. It's no BS recipes. She's just posting recipes that you can actually make. There's no big giant preamble. There's no, on a crisp autumn day, one's thoughts go back to New England and that to fresh apple pie. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. There's another young lady. Leslie is her first name. I apologize. I can't remember her last name. She's posting some stuff. You guys, it's so easy. It's so easy. And this is so the new show with Judd Dunning, Bullet Points, and this podcast and everything. I want that. Keep coming in, you guys. Keep coming in. It's a free speech zone. You can post stuff. We'll have discussions. Listen, and there's no judges. No judges. I think Leslie posted a link, like the first thing she posted, and it was a link to a YouTube video, and it was awesome, and it was something that just everybody could enjoy. And now Gloria is like, here's no BS recipes. It's fantastic. And you got Paul Hare, and he's got original books that he's writing, and he's pimping those, and he's got great behind the scenes stuff that's going on in France with the yellow vests. And you've got Lisa, the geek mom, who's doing awesome geek stuff, and let's get involved in the world of music and drawing. It's happening. It's awesome. It's wonderful, and I want to make sure everyone's invited. So I've created, me and my buddy created a little show called Bullet Points. We did our first episode. It's 14 minutes, 2 minutes per topic. It's just fun, and so that's going to be on the website as well in the future. There are little beacons of hope. The Deplorable Comedy Tour, deplorableshow.com, that's a beacon of hope. Bullet Points is a beacon of hope. No BS Recipes is a beacon of hope. Leslie and her YouTube, all of it is a beacon of hope. So stop by. I know it's a hassle to sign in. I know it's a hassle, and I wish I could avoid it. I can't. But that's what's going on, and we have to rally together at some point, because the left is pretty good at rallying. The left is pretty good at rallying. They're gonna and it's a terrifying notion. The way they're trying to, like the PC culture, the PC mob, the way they're going to go after we all know people who've been disappeared from Facebook and from Twitter and from YouTube and from Patreon. And it happens all the time. And we put on our little blinders and we believe, oh, it won't happen to me. It won't happen to me. Well, maybe not. But maybe it won't happen to you at theloftusparty.com. And people are afraid of the PC mob. I was invited to be on – well, I was on Fox and Friends weekend. I was on yesterday. They reached out to me because there was a quote from The Rock in the Daily Mail UK or whatever it's like the National Enquirer over there. And The Rock is like, this PC culture, they're too offended and they need to learn how to toughen up, and nothing good happens from being offended. You know, and it wasn't even that vicious. It wasn't like he's like, these are the worst people on the planet. He didn't call them Hitler Youth. He just said this culture, this snowflake generation needs to toughen up. The PC, it's not good. PC culture isn't good. Don't get offended. I don't even know what so in wonderful, it's like Jim Acosta going down to the wall. The Rock is so terrified of the PC culture. He is so terrified of being singled out and having his career ruined by someone who got offended that he immediately came out. And not only did he issue a statement on Twitter, he did a video about it going, that wasn't me. I never said those words. I never said those words. It did not happen. 100% didn't happen. Not me. Never happened. And it's like, wow, you're so terrified of a pretty much innocuous quote coming out. Like, really, if he had said it, wow, I think our culture gets offended too easily, and nothing good happens when a culture gets offended this easy. Listen, whoever made up the quote and attributed it to The Rock, I agree with it. So, but The Rock had to do damage control. Like, he had to do so much damage control. To me, that just showed that there you go. You were so afraid of offending the mob with pitchforks because the mob with pitchforks is out of control. They've gone after Kevin Hart. The Oscars doesn't have a host, and I'm happy about that. However, I think the Oscars is going to have good ratings this year because everybody's going to want to see the train wreck. So anyway, they ended up scrubbing the story, and I went in and talked about Beto O'Rourke interviewing his dental hygienist. I didn't have time to write really great jokes. It was a really fly by the seat of your pants segment. I had fun. I think it went okay. But yeah, the PC culture, they're out, and they're out to get everybody. And so we have to band together in whatever little way we can. And if that means stopping by theloftusparty.com and signing in, fantastic. So be it. And if that means buying a ticket to see the Deplorable show when it comes near your town, so be it. Do it.
All of the above. Do it all.
All of the above. I just think my whole thing. So The Rock didn't say it, and I find it interesting that, like, because he's one of the nicest guys in Hollywood. He really, really is. He almost hit me with his car one night. I was walking. This is like, gee whiz, 5 years ago. I'm walking across. I was at a meeting at Disney. It was in the wintertime. It was like 4:30. The sun was down. It was dark, and he almost ran me over with his Land Rover. Didn't even. He stopped. He pulled up short. It was not even close to being an accident, but he was a super nice guy. I've never heard a bad thing said about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Too bad I wasn't there.
So you got him.
It's too bad I wasn't there.
Say what?
I said it's too bad I wasn't there, though, because I could have flopped down in front of the car, and you could have sworn I didn't walk like that before.
Look at him. He's got permanent damage. But, like, here's what I'm saying is, like, no one has a beef with The Rock, and Kevin Hart I hear is one of the nicest guys in Hollywood, and then now you've got Ellen DeGeneres, who I did a podcast for a buddy of mine recently. I think it came out yesterday, but one of the other guests on the podcast, this guy was a writer for Ellen DeGeneres. Like, no one has a beef with, like, any of these people. Yes, Kevin Hart did a joke many moons ago. But, like, when the nicest people in Hollywood, like, people are mad at Ellen DeGeneres for trying to make nice with the Oscars, and oh my gosh, how could Ellen DeGeneres stand up for Kevin Hart, and oh, The Rock, did you really say that? And when the nice people are nervous, that's the canary in the coal mine. That's the canary in the coal mine. When the comedians are getting nervous, when the comedians are getting worried, when the people who make you laugh through wholesome comedy are nervous, it's bad. It's bad for the culture. It's bad for everybody. watching this thing on YouTube the other night. There's signs, I guess, in the tube, in the underground, like in Scotland and England and stuff, asking, like, if you know someone who's involved in doing hate speech, let us know. They're asking people to turn in their neighbors for using hate speech. That's legit. That is legit Nazi stuff right there. That is legit old school Stalin communist stuff. Please turn in your neighbor. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
That's what terrified me when Barack Obama started the whole if you see something, say something thing, because that was starting to push us in that direction. And I'm like, no, stop it. Stop.
In his defense, I think that was wasn't that like terrorism and like baggage and stuff?
Yeah, but then it started being used for other things. The more it went on, the more other people started using it for the other things. Like if you see, and the thing that scares me about the phrase hate speech is who the hell decides what hate speech is, and how often can that goalpost be moved?
Yeah, I saw. Of course, it's my Twitter feed. There's lots of incendiary stuff there, but yeah, that's what kicked off Jordan Peterson's whole thing. When the state compels you to use certain words, they've gone too far. When the state says you have to say this or you go to jail, then they're trying to control your speech and the way you think. They've gone too far. So Jordan Peterson is a hero, I think his name is it might be Charlie Kirk, who goes around from colleges. He's quickly maintaining his hero status in my book, because he's going to colleges and he's having these honest debates. And I'll give it up for Steven Crowder too. Crowder, who's doing he does that whole series on YouTube, Change My Mind, and people have memed him to death. They have that's some serious. They have really ridiculed that guy. But God bless him for doing it. There's only two genders. Change my mind. There's no such thing as blah blah blah. Change my mind. I love that. Then at least you're having the dialogue. At least you're having the the discussion. And I will say this, just in terms of see something, say something. If you seriously though, but if you're in the airport and you see like a bag that has no one around, for real, say something. Say something.
Say something. Please don't go open it, because you never know what you're going to find.
Exactly. You'll find the keys to a druggy submarine, because that's how all the drugs are getting in here. Okay, so that was outrageous fun. I want everybody to check out Bullet Points. I want everybody to go to the website, and I also want to make my position on Ruth Bader Ginsburg known. This poor lady. I got no beef with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I think she needs to probably retire. I know she said publicly, as soon as I can't do my job, then I'll walk away. She's not a young woman. She has had some insanely wonderful victories over adversity and cancer and all that stuff. But you have a hard time convincing me that she can do her job. She can't show up for work anymore. Now you can make the argument that, she can work from home. She can work from home. Okay. But now for me to be Joe technical guy, can you prove that she's really writing this stuff? I mean, is there seriously? It sounds like a plot from a movie or something, but so Ruth Bader Ginsburg is working from home. And I'm sure there's like a nurse or a secretary or somebody there, but who's watching? Is the secretary writing these reports? Is there like a legal aide writing these opinions, or is it legitimately Ruth Bader Ginsburg? That's why I think it's important that, God bless her heart, you gotta be able to go into the office. You gotta be. That's my whole beef in a nutshell with big government. It's who's watching the watchers. I really think I had this idea, and I think it might be a funny idea, that we should have a panel of citizens, right? Just 1 week or 1 month it can be all plumbers, and 1 week it can be all electricians. I think they should all be blue collar people, blue collar jobs, and they get picked at random, and there's a panel of 13 of them. and they go to Washington, and they go to like the head of the FBI, and they go to, and someone has to explain what the government's doing, what that department of the government is doing. They have to explain it to like a group of 13 plumbers, or carpenters or whatever, guys like you and me, so that we can understand. And then those people have to sign off on it. It's my variation of the phone book party. Who's watching the FBI? Who's watching the CIA? Who's watching Ruth Bader Ginsburg at home? I mean, it can be complete insanity. What do you think of my plumber idea?
I like it. I really do. I mean, it makes sense to me. I mean, because here's the thing, we didn't get much of it. We were just about out of time based on the clock I have here, but we didn't really get much of a chance to talk about it. But this whole government shutdown thing, why do we have non-essential government employees? What the hell kind of sense does that make anyway? I mean, I'm not trying to make light of it. That's an honest question. If you're working, if you work for the government, how in the hell can you be considered non-essential?
Exactly. It's a great thing. But like, and it's so seriously, like, and they say like the TSA is not going to be able to show up to work, and the flight controllers aren't going to be able to show up. How are they not essential? Like, to me, there's another problem with the bureaucracy. I'm pretty sure air travel is essential. I'm pretty sure just moving around cargo and supplies is essential. Like, if I was an air traffic controller, I'd be like, hey, in the future, put me down as essential. But like, I don't want anybody non-essential get paycheck. That's crazy. How many non-essential people can show up at your job every day? They don't. They're non-essential. You get fired. When you're non-essential, you get fired. Okay. Rick, this was an absolute blast. I dig the vibe. It was laid back, awesome conversation. I covered everything that I wanted to cover. Is there anything that we left on the table that you want to address before we close out this wonderful edition of the Loftus Party podcast?
Well, I mean, of course, I have to poke a little bit of fun at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who recently just came out and said that she feels Donald Trump should be addressing the fact that ICE exists at all instead of worrying about a border wall, and how ICE violates human rights every single day. You just got to. Why are you even here? Just why?
That poor girl is in over her head. And I did a video on YouTube, and it's getting a lot of clicks right now, a lot of views. I really think, and this is my beef with a lot of people on the Democratic side. I think she grew up wealthy, and she really thinks that these ideas will work. She really honestly thinks these ideas will work because she doesn't know better.
Yeah,
she has not studied. She has not cracked a bunch of books.
70%
and listen,
I'll be tax rate's a great plan. Just saying. No,
I will be the first guy. I'll be the first guy to tell you, socialism on paper works. If you have one sheet of paper and you're like, everybody will share, and everybody, yep. When it boils to that simplistically, yes, it worked. But if you have two sheets of paper and more than 30 seconds to discuss it, it never works. It never, ever, ever works. So she's not the brightest tool, or the sharpest tool in the shed. She's not the brightest bulb. She went on CNN the other day talking about how we need to abolish ICE. We have to abolish it. We have to get rid of it. And she voted 3 days before that to fund it. And I don't think she knew. I don't think she knows how our government works. She's just a cute, uninformed person who, and this is great because this brings everything full circle. Rick, Kung Fu, my man, I think if we sat down with this girl for an afternoon, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I think we could bring her along. I think in an afternoon, we could turn her into a conservative. I swear to God.
I think it might take more than one. This is my parting shot at Ocasio-Cortez. This is not Michael's view. If you don't like it, please at me, at RowdyRick73 on Twitter. Speaking of her being over her head, she would be over her head in a baby pool. Just saying.
Hey, there you go. That's wonderful. You know why? Because she'd be laying in it. She'd be dancing around like J-Lo. I'm just Alexandra from the Bronx. Okay, you guys, that was an awesome show. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Please leave us a review at iTunes. We're always trying to bang up against the algorithm. Subscribe to the Loftus Party YouTube channel. Bullet points will be on the website this week. I might make that a website exclusive. I don't know. I haven't made up my mind. You guys help me. Let me know. And give me your feedback. Shoot me an email at michael@theloftusparty.com. michael@theloftusparty.com. I always want to talk. Have a great week, you guys.